After going through the Srixon Days fitting event, I actually learned a lot more than I really expected. And one of the biggest things that I can say that was confirmed, I've been wanting to make a video about this for a while. Judging that you clicked on the video because of the thumbnail or the title, this is about the drastic differences in golf, or the extremes. So you'll hear a lot of people say you're getting extreme height, or you're gonna flight it higher or flight it lower, or the ball's gonna go way longer and stuff. I want you to understand that we're measuring things in inches. In golf, extreme differences really isn't as much as you think. A higher launching shaft is gonna change your launch by a few degrees. And by few, I literally mean like anywhere between your driver. We'll go with the Hazardous Black. You could go and get the Srixon ZXi low spin driver with the Hazardous Black. Your launch angle is going to be about 8 degrees. You go with the Hazardous Blue, it's going to bring it up to about 10 degrees. You go with the Hazardous Red or the Hazardous Green or something, it might bring that up to maybe 12 to 14 degrees. We're talking not that much in difference of trajectory. Now, in the long run, in the far end, yes, it's kind of the same idea of artillery in the military. Millimeters are miles down the line, but we're not talking about shooting a 155 millimeter shell of Freedom, 5 miles down range. We're talking about hitting a 2.5 or 2 inch, about 1 5/8 inch ball 300 yards down a hole. You're talking about a difference of a few degrees in launch, could mean the difference of 5 to 10 yards, depending on how it's gonna land and roll out. That can be the difference of one club. Ball can make a difference on that too. You just need to understand that a massive gain is really not gonna be as much as people think, especially when it comes to the overinflated terminology with a lot of YouTubers of gain massive distance, gain massive spin, and massive control. You're really not talking about as much as you think. Yes, one club difference can mean the major control and accuracy that you have in your bag, because the lower clubs are easier to hit. Hitting your ball off a driver 375 yards could be the difference of you laying up with your next shot with, say, a 6 iron or a 7 iron. Whereas if you're hitting 250 yards, you're going to possibly be laying up with a 5 iron, 4 iron, 3 iron area, depending on how you hit. It more comes down to your target golf and your comfort level. We're going to get into another video about being strategic and course strategy mindset. That's where I agree with Tropicana Golf on, play to 150 in for your approach shot instead of just trying to bomb every single tee shot being a driver and try to hit partial wedge shots in. But that's a topic for another discussion. When it comes to flighting the differences in the shafts, you could be talking literally feet. 5 foot difference between the different shafts. Vantage Red, Vantage Blue, Vantage Black is approximately 5 feet difference in height compared to the others. Say blue is mid, you're gonna be 5 feet lower with the black, 5 feet higher with the red. That's all that difference really is. Yes, that can mean an extra 10 to 15 yards in rollout, depending on if your spin's bad or not. There's also a thing that you need to understand when it comes to the different golf balls, mainly between urethane ionomer. When you're talking about your iron shots into the greens, you can still get, actually sometimes you do get more spin off of an ionomer ball with your mid irons into the green than you do a urethane ball. You just lose out that touch and feel on the thin, stretchy covers of urethane on your partial chip shots. That's where the major difference of that comes in. But for the most part, the differences of spin on most of these balls really come down to a couple hundred RPM. That is not groundbreaking. For a good long while, believe it or not, the NXT Tour from Titleist actually had 200 to 400 RPM more than their Pro V1. And people still went with the Pro V1 believing that it was the highest spin ball. No, their middle tier ball actually had more spin off of it with a Surlyn cover. So basically the long run of this whole entire thing is massive gain, huge distances and stuff like that really aren't as much as you think. But you need to understand, in the grand scheme of everything, every little bit more you get out of it actually can make a big difference. Take that with a grain of salt and understand that, again, back to all my ball videos, compression doesn't mean as much as you think. If it is a 3% diminishing return for above 105 miles an hour, you can still play a 35 compression ball. You might lose about 10 yards on it, maybe 15 yards, because you're over compressing it, causing it to balloon out. But where you're going to gain out on that cheap ion recover and the softness of the ball, it's going to balloon out a little bit, which creates a ton of spin. Again, I've been able to get the Wilson Staff Zips to back up with a 4-iron, if that goes and shows you how much spin it actually generates. If you were getting around 4,500 RPM with your mid irons, you are in an ideal zone for what you want, especially since every bit of information is being backed and pushed off of this is the standard you have to go off of the PGA and LPGA players. We are not those players. We're not hitting our 7-iron with 6,000 to 7,000 RPM. We're hitting it with 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. So those are bounce and stop golf balls, as well as maybe a little bit of rollout. That's a major difference. The tighter you can keep that gap on the landing, a little bit better. Obviously, the higher up you get in your bag, 5-iron, 4-iron stuff, it's gonna bounce and move a little bit further because the descent angle is not gonna be as drastic. So when you go in for your next fitting and stuff, these are all things that you really need to pay attention to. You wanna focus more on descent angle versus the spin you're generating off it, especially if the balls inside the hitting bay are, say, something like, you know, the Bridgestone E12 or the Precept Laddie or something, because that's what the Pro Golf discount near me actually uses. They do use the Tour responses, but I noticed they don't really spin as much as some of the other balls that are out there. So if this video actually answers any questions or you have any of your own, please leave a comment down below. If I didn't answer it, because I go a little bit squirrel on some of these, I can answer it down below. If you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. Keep it in the fairway. Have a good one.